Aghast with tainted leaders, Israel's history has handcuffed by corruption and graft. Corruption is a legitimate problem in Israeli politics, and many investigations have taken place into allegations of influence peddling and bribery. And so has happened in the case of the country's serving Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who was indicted for corruption in 3 cases in November of last year. In a series of scandals, Netanyahu has been charged with fraud, breach of trust, and accepting bribes. According to the indictment, Netanyahu received lavish gifts from billionaire friends and exchanged regulatory favors with media moguls for more agreeable coverage of himself and his family. The criminal charges against Netanyahu in investigations are listed as cases 1000, 2000 and 4000. Case 1000 centers on allegations that Netanyahu and his wife Sarah wrongfully received gifts from Arnon Milchan, a prominent Hollywood producer and Israeli citizen, and Australian businessman billionaire James Packer. Now, those gifts allegedly included champagne and cigars, which were worth approximately $198,000. Netanyahu acted for the benefit of Milchan as a part of his official roles between 2011 and 2016, leading to charges of fraud and breach of trust. Case 2000 alleges that Netanyahu negotiated a deal with Arnon Moses, the owner of Israel's best-selling daily newspaper, Yediat Ahronoth, for better coverage. In return, he offered legislation that would impose restrictions and slow the growth of a rival daily newspaper, the Israel Hayom. Now, this case concerns meetings conducted with Arnon Moses, where Netanyahu and Moses engaged in discussions regarding the promotion of their common interests. In this case, Netanyahu has again been charged with fraud and breach of trust. Case 4000 alleges that Netanyahu granted regulatory favors to Israel's leading telecommunications company, Bezek Telecom Israel. According to the indictment, Netanyahu maintained a give-and-take relationship with Israeli businessman Shaul Ilovich and his wife, Iris. The case 4000 has 2 main parts. The first is that Netanyahu fired Communications Ministry Director General Avi Berger and hired his loyalist and ex-campaign manager Shlomo Filber. Now, the move was in order to ensure a government policy favoring Bezek owner Shaul Ilovich improperly. The second is that in exchange for the positive treatment of Bezek, Netanyahu and his wife directed Bezek's online news site, Walla, to give him favorable coverage. Netanyahu has been charged with bribery, as well as fraud and breach of trust in this case. Bribery charges carry a sentence of up to 10 years in jail and/or a fine. Now, fraud and breach of trust carry a prison sentence of up to 3 years. Netanyahu's trial began on the 24th of May of this year in the Jerusalem District Court, and during the first session, Netanyahu was granted the right to avoid a second in-person court appearance for the next session scheduled today. Despite evidences of him acting against the interest of the public, Netanyahu has been denying any wrongdoing and in fact painted the accusations as a media-orchestrated witch hunt by a biased law enforcement system.
כל הבאים מהמדינות הבאות, מצרפת, מגרמניה, משוויץ. למשל